The right dividend investment can turn $100,000 into $1 million nest egg. And the right dividend investment can also create enough passive income to pay all of your monthly expenses when you're retired. But the wrong dividend investment can completely ghost you, and it can make you go broke overnight, all while you happen to be convinced that your money is safe and doing just fine. That's why I'll be breaking down and analyzing 3 completely different dividend ETFs, or exchange-traded funds, of JEPI, SCHD, and QDTE. Because let me tell you, when we look at the dividend payouts of each of these funds, they are drastically different, and you'll want to know if that's a good thing or not. And when I do the deep dive, I'm going to explain some of the different terms that are associated with volatility, and of course the dividend payout and the performance that you would expect. But the first thing that you're going to want to do is decide what type of investor you are so you can decide, well, which one of these dividend ETFs is best for you. And a huge thanks goes out to everyone that participates in my surveys so that we have an idea of where the audience already stands. I'll be reviewing these from the perspective of 3 different investors. And the first would be the person that's looking for stability with some growth and a strong dividend payout. And that happens to be about 40% of you. And then there's the group that are solely looking for growth within the dividend space, which happens to be roughly another 40%. And the last group happens to be those that are income seekers that are wanting the best sustainable payout, which is roughly 20% of you. Along the way, I'll be giving my opinion about which investor I believe is a better fit for each fund, which of course you can compare against with your own notes. I'll begin with the infamous ETF of SCHD, which is Schwab's US Dividend Equity ETF, and it's been around since 2011 and is one of the most popular dividend ETFs on the market, where it happens to track the performance of the Dow Jones US Dividend 100 Index, where it focuses on the top US companies that have consistently paid out dividends to their investors. On October 10th of 2024, this fund did a 3-for-1 split, which means that for every full share that you had and was trading at around $84, it would then split out into 3 different shares at around $28 each. So in simple math, 3 times 28 is $84. Your total investment never changed. The only thing that changed was the number of shares. The reason for doing this is to make the shares more affordable in the minds of the investor. There's no real fundamental change in having the split, except for some people that may have felt it was too expensive to buy in the past. Well, now they may be a little more willing to invest in it. In that case, it's only really a psychological change. But most stock brokerages today allow you to invest in fractional shares, so it really shouldn't be making that much of a difference. But we can see that this minor change did cause a massive inflow of investors that we can see on this chart right here. Not a sustained growth, but it did have a spike nonetheless. The market cap on SCHD is over $64 billion, which means there are a lot of people invested in this ETF. And the volume is, well, it's pretty high at over 4.2 million, giving it a high liquidity and the ability to quickly sell the fund if you need to. And the expense ratio is one of the lowest that you can find at 0.06%. which happens to add to the popularity. And I also want to highlight the beta as a 0.75, which is below a 1, where a 1 would be a match to the S&P 500 in volatility. But since it's below a 1, then it is less volatile, or there's fewer spikes up and down in the price. The rule of thumb is that a 1 is the baseline. Below it, it's less volatile, and above it, it's more volatile. If you happen to be someone that does better with visuals, just think of Jim Carrey and Bruce Almighty as being a level-headed number 1. Below a 1, he's a bit boring and more mellow, and then above a 1, well, I think that you get the picture that things get a little bit more chaotic. And the most important detail that many of you are interested in is the dividend yield, which is at a 3.45%, where the dividend payments are provided on a quarterly basis. So if you had $100,000 invested in SCHD, you'd be getting $862 each quarter, or $3,450 a year within dividends. And I know that there will be a handful of you that believe this is much too low to be considered dividend worthy, but it is a dividend nonetheless. And when we look at the performance, the trailing 12-month CAGR, or compounding annual growth rate, is 19.3% for the ETF price. And the dividend grew 15%, and the total CAGR, combining the price and the ETF with the dividend reinvested, comes in at 23.6% growth. I like to make certain that a dividend investment has positive growth over the 3 and the 5-year returns to ensure that the stock price keeps appreciating, and that is a great sign of health. This is what I would expect from a list of quality companies in its holdings, where many of them are aristocrats that are the royalty of dividends, meaning that they're a bit more mature and they've been paying dividends for decades. In my opinion, based on the fund's performance and lower dividend rate, SCHD would probably be a little bit more geared towards those investors looking for solid growth within the dividend scope of quality companies. And the highest quality company and dividend that you can get on your own is from owning your own business. Then there is an option that pays 7 to 9% a month on invested capital. That's where today's sponsor, Limits Express, comes into play. They work as business managers to create and manage an Amazon store just for you, where they buy and sell national branded products using your capital and business. They do all the heavy lifting and all of the day-to-day work. They don't get paid unless your Amazon business makes a profit. In full transparency, I have invested with Limits Express to vet them out and to verify their process. My first 2 full months of sales came in at just over $12,000 with nearly a $1,200 profit. So that's a margin of 9%. I admit that the process starts off a little bit slow because you need to get approvals to sell the brands, but that's due to Amazon and its processes. So if you're interested in learning more, I'll have a link down in the description so that you can speak directly with Kyle, which happens to be one of the co-founders. You can also check out their website down in the links below. And please keep in mind that all investments carry some level of risk, and this is not a personal recommendation. Now I'll move on to JEPI, or JP Morgan's Equity Premium Income ETF, which is known for having a high dividend yield, and it's only been around since 2020, where this fund is actively managed with the sole purpose of creating monthly income and exposure to the S&P 500 index. This fund does get some dividends from the companies within its holdings, but it also generates additional funds from using a call option strategy, which is sort of difficult to explain, but I will be providing an analogy a little bit later on. Let me know in the comments below if you want me to cover options trading in a different video. But in a nutshell, this is what the managers of JEPI are doing to generate that extra income that's over and above the dividends from the companies. When we look at the stats on JEPI, the fund has over $36 billion under management and is almost half as big as SCHD. And the volume is also pretty good at 973,000, so the liquidity is decent. Because it is actively managed, the expense ratio is much higher than SCHD at 0.35%. But that happens to be pretty low for an actively managed fund. And an interesting point is the beta is at a 0.52, and that happens to be lower than SCHD. And as you recall, this is the measure of volatility within the pricing. Now, a big difference between JEPI and SCHD is the dividend ratio, where JEPI is currently at 7.02%, and it pays out monthly. But because it utilizes a call option strategy to build that extra income, the dividends aren't consistent and they do have fluctuations within their totals. But I hope that a question that you're asking yourself is, if the dividend is that high, is the stock price also growing and healthy? And for the most part, yes, it is. Now, when we look at the compounding annual growth rate over the past year, the total is at 18.7%, and the price growth is at 10.6%. This is a solid sign. Now, the dividend growth is declining, but given its call option strategy, it will have inconsistency in the dividend growth. The one small area of concern is the 3-year price CAGR at a negative 0.35%, which is a slight decline, but the total return was okay at 8.6% when you factor in the dividends being reinvested. And the 5-year, which technically is only 4 years based on its age, looks to be fine for both the price and the total return. This tells us that since the life of the fund, it has had healthy growth in the stock price, making it sustainable for the long term, and the total return is well above inflation at 13.2%. And like I state in all of my dividend videos, the total return assumes that the dividends have been reinvested as the drip method, and all of the expenses have also been taken out. This happens to be why the total return is one of the most important gauges of success for investments, in my opinion. Now here's a comparison between SCHD and JEPI across all of the different key items that I've discussed so far. I think this makes for a very nice cheat sheet to break out some of the key differences. And as you can see, I've listed JEPI as being for investors looking for stability and income. Despite only being 4 years old, this fund has performed quite well, even during some pretty tough times. I can easily see why so many retirees like this particular fund. Because if you're given the choice between getting a 4% return on CDs or treasuries versus a 7% or more from JEPI, where the pricing CAGR has remained healthy and not declining, yeah, I might pick JEPI too. It's sort of a built-in retirement distribution model for retirees, where they can take out more than the obligatory 4% rule without losing any value. Hey, so let me know in the comments if this describes you as an investor and how well that you either like or dislike the fund. I'll make certain to share this chart in next week's free newsletter, so feel free to sign up down below. Now, this next fund has been gaining a lot of traction among a lot of different YouTubers because it has an extremely high dividend, and it's relatively new since launching in March 2024. And now I'll give you the breakdown of QDTE, or Roundhill's N100 Zero DTE Covered Call Strategy ETF, where this fund is specific to the NASDAQ 100 index. This fund is similar to JEPI in that it is using call options, but this one is quite a bit different because they're using zero-day trades, meaning it's only good for one day. They happen to wait for the markets to open, write their covered call, and it expires at the end of the day. Because they generate their funds daily, they're able to provide their dividends at the weekly level. Now, there is another part of their strategy where they buy deeply into money calls, which is similar to yield max ETFs. And if you know what those are, let me know in the comments if you want a video specific on those. But anyways, this strategy is referred to as synthetics, where they're buying deeply in money calls instead of buying the actual shares from the NASDAQ. And this strategy happens to be known as the poor man's covered calls, where they buy options contracts with an expiration date that's several months or even years out at a very discounted price to the current stock price. And they pay the premium for this option stock price, which is substantially less than owning the stock. I'm going to gloss over it with a very high analogy. Imagine there's a cabin for sale for $100,000. Instead of buying it, you choose to lease it out at $10,000 a year with an option to buy. At the end of the year, you've put in $10,000 on the lease, and if the value of the house is below that $100,000, you'll simply choose not to buy the house and you're going to give up that $10,000. But if the cabin does appreciate in value over the $100,000, and let's say it's $105,000, then you can buy and sell it immediately, and then you get to pocket that equity of $5,000. But to mitigate risk, even when leasing the cabin, you had short-term renters each day or other call options on the daily level. And these daily call options generate, well, let's say $400 a week or just over $20,000 a year. These short-term renters are going to cover your $10,000 lease in about 6 months. So even if the house doesn't appreciate, you're not going to lose all your money. And anything that you earn over and above that 6-month level, well, that's just going to be cream. This method is often referred to as the LEAPS method of trading. And if it's managed correctly, it can be relatively consistent. Now let's take a look at the high-level details, where QDT has $475 million under management with a volume of 380,000, which happens to make its liquidity the lowest of the group. As a contrast, the expense ratio is the highest of the group at 0.95%, and the beta is also the highest at a 1.2. And of course, the real reason that people are excited about this fund is that its calculated dividend yield is at a 21.9%. But when you look at the stock price return year to date, which happens to be the best we can get since it just launched March of this year, then you can see that it's at a negative 12.4%. But the total return is at around a 19.8% due to the dividends being reinvested at the weekly level. That happens to be a pretty decent number for a total return year to date. I mean, there's really no question about it. But I wouldn't exactly classify this as a healthy fund when the price has declined over negative 7% already. To put that into perspective, if you invested $100,000 into this fund, and if you held it for 20 years where it lost negative 12.4% each year on price, but you happen to live off of that 21.9% dividends and you never reinvested it, you would have brought home $146,000 from the dividends. But that $100,000 investment, well, it'd only be worth $7,000 at the end of those 20 years, and it would only be paying about $1,500 in dividends a year. But with this fund being so new, honestly, I think it's too early to judge it. In totality, it's still making a strong total return, and the management team did make an adjustment throughout the year so it could keep it on track. Overall, I get it. I understand why there's so much buzz around this fund, seeing as the dividend rate is so high and it happens to pay at the weekly level. Now, let's go ahead and compare all three of these funds all at once. Overall, the SCHD fund is more suited for investors looking for growth from the security of strong dividend companies, while the JEPI fund is more for those that are looking for a stable income fund that it's not exactly the top performer, but it offers a dividend worthy of living on during retirement. And for the newly popular QDTE, well, I'm not exactly certain who that's suitable for. I would not recommend it for those that are looking for stable income because the price right now is deteriorating and it makes it more like, well, a reverse mortgage. But this may be a decent fund to have for potential growth in the short term, until at least they're able to work out some of the kinks and keep the price of the fund from dropping, which is more attributable to the human psychology of supply and demand versus the strategy of the fund. In a year or two, if it's able to stabilize, then it may turn into a stable income fund, but I wouldn't plan on it anytime in the near term. That was my review of 3 very popular and very different dividend ETFs. But if growth investments are more your style, then I do have several different videos on top stocks and also top growth ETFs that you can check out. Thanks so much for watching.